It's a question that keeps popping up. If we had the technology to land humans on the moon in the late 1960s, why haven't we returned in over 50 years, especially now with much more advanced technology? For many, this raises suspicions. Some even claim the original moon landings were faked, recorded in a studio to win the space race. And honestly, it's a fair question. Even today, no average person can point to recent footage of astronauts walking on the moon. So, was it real or not? To be very honest, we can't claim with 100% certainty unless we were there. But instead of jumping to conclusions, let's calmly explore the facts, the theories, and the possibilities, without blindly defending or dismissing either side. There's strong evidence, from satellite images, scientific data, moon rocks, and independent verification that the Apollo missions did happen. The original moon landing in 1969 was driven by the intense rivalry of the Cold War. It wasn't just about space exploration, it was a political statement. The US spent billions of dollars and an enormous amount of human effort to make that one goal possible, beating the Soviet Union to the moon. But after they succeeded, the public interest dropped, budgets were slashed, and there was little motivation to go back. So the question becomes less about could we and more about why would we? After achieving that historical milestone, the priority shifted, and so did the funding. It's easy to assume that if we did it once, we could just do it again, especially with how far technology has advanced. But going to the moon isn't like catching a flight to another city. It requires massive amounts of money, precise engineering, and global coordination. After the Apollo program ended in the 1970s, NASA focused more on low Earth orbit missions, like building and maintaining the International Space Station. Plus, without the political pressure of the space race, there just wasn't enough urgency or public support to justify the billions needed for another moon mission. The Space Shuttle program took over, emphasizing reusable spacecraft rather than long-distance exploration. And for decades, moon missions were simply not a priority. Not because they were impossible, but because they weren't deemed necessary. This question lies at the heart of many conspiracy theories. Some people argue that if NASA had the capability to land on the moon back in 1969, with computers less powerful than a modern calculator, then why haven't they returned more often? This gap in missions has fueled doubts. Claims about suspicious shadows, flag movements, and lack of stars in photos have all circulated online. But most of these theories have been debunked through physics, science, and logic. For instance, the flag waving. It was due to momentum when it was planted, not wind. The missing stars? They were too dim to be captured with the camera settings used. Thousands of scientists, engineers, and witnesses were involved in the Apollo missions. It would be nearly impossible to fake something at such a large scale without anyone leaking the truth in over 50 years. Still, as humble thinkers, we must admit, while the evidence strongly supports the moon landing being real, absolute certainty is a rare thing, especially when people crave answers that fit their beliefs. Despite all the technological progress since 1969, returning to the moon hasn't been a top priority until recently. The truth is, going to the moon is extremely expensive, risky, and politically motivated. The Apollo missions were driven by the Cold War space race between the US and the Soviet Union. Once the US won that race by landing on the moon, public and political interest declined. NASA's budget was reduced and resources were shifted to space stations and Mars research. But now, missions like NASA's Artemis program and private efforts by SpaceX and other space agencies aim to return humans to the moon, this time to stay longer, build bases, and prepare for Mars. So the answer to why can't we go now is simple. We can, but we needed a reason, funding, and long-term goals to go back. And now, with global interest reignited, a new era of moon exploration is about to begin.